Good afternoon, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast, a Football Friday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We got 60 minutes to play with. It's a What the Frig Friday. So what made you say what the frig in the world of sports? A little mixed bag, a little mixed potpourri on this wonderful Sports Friday for this September 12th. 2025. As always, get social with me at Rich Q on Q, and of course TikTok Rich Q on the mic. We are all over the place on YouTube, on X. We got some new platforms coming up as well, so we're going to keep you locked in on that. But how about this? I decided, you know what, we got to, it's a football Friday, so you got the Giants, you got the Dallas Cowboys, you got Canelo and Bud, and I decided as we transition over, how about this? How about jumping on cue? That man right there, the two-time Super Bowl champ of the New York Football Giants, number 27, and my brother from another, Mr. Brandon Jacob. What's going on, B?
Oh, Rich, man, life is lifing. I'm trying to do my best to life with it and not get left behind. But things are going well, man. I can't complain, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you again, brother. We'll talk a little bit about, I know your son with the big game of Clemson and GT coming up. We'll get into that, which that's going to be a hell of a contest. I do have to, before we get into the boxing, listen, man, isn't it ironic when we were doing the pod, we steered clear of the Russell Wilson conversation. Now, I don't know if the football gods just decided to just get on me, right? To just get on me and, say, hey, this is what we got going on. Russell Wilson, the starting quarterback of my and your New York Football Giants. I mean, listen, I'm not going to put you on the spot here. I'm going to try to, but it's tough to watch, man. Again, first game in the books, offense was stagnant. Ah, man.
I agree. It's frustrating. But again, like typical fans of every team, week one starts panic. I saw some good things on defense. Trying to find a positive. Offensively, it always takes a little bit longer than defense. Got so many different moving parts. You got so many different moving pieces there. You got a new quarterback. Just a bunch of things. It's all timing. And I think as time go, I think Russ is I think he's at a perfect place in his career to be the person to lead this team this season, and bringing Jackson in, Dart in, toward the end of the year, and getting ready for next year. So I think we got a good veteran quarterback situation going on with who we have waiting to come up.
Yeah, I think it's funny how you said, week one overreaction. I remember a couple of years ago, as soon as they beat Tennessee on the road, you and I were FaceTiming each other. Here we go. Dable go for two. Saquon. Then you see the mess last year. Saquon goes off. Danny Nichols going off with Indianapolis. I'm telling you, man, maybe I did something to disrupt the football gods with the New York Giants, because you know me. Come October, this team is friggin', they're waxed, they're cooked, they're done. And I get to the I get to the point where I get so frustrated. I will say this. I want to see this kid sooner rather than later. And until they fix the offensive line, we're probably not going to see him. Maybe he goes against your Saints on the road in a couple weeks. But man, it's tough seeing what Saquon did last year. Jones doing in Indianapolis in the game, the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And then, the Giants play your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, on Sunday. We know your disdain for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you would hope there's a little more juice in that game and a little Giant pride on Sunday.
Well, I can't say whether or not there's a little bit juice in that game. I'm not in the locker room, and I don't know how those guys feel about each other, right? When it comes to competing for your brother and playing for your brother. I know Dallas week for us, it was like we
chewing glass. You were crunching on glass.
And we should approach every week like that. We definitely should have, but that game was always a bit more special. That game and the Eagle game was definitely a bit more special than all the rest of them. So I'm not sure how they feel in the locker room now, but my group, we were ready to go.
It's different animal, man. Different animal and different era. Look what's going on in the NFL with some of these young quarterbacks. They're either wasting time they worsen patience, they have no patience, or they're throwing them in baptismal by fire, right? And then when they actually bench them, then they turn out to be something if they go to another team or it takes a little bit. Coaching's everything. You know this, high school, college, and the pros. Coaching is everything. You got to have the players, but you got to have the coaches.
Absolutely. You definitely got to have the coaches. Coaching matters. Like coaching really matters in this game. Like you because you can have a team with the best athletes, and that team still might not win. It's the coaches, it's the X's and O's, it's the structure created, is the discipline, is the coach's support, stuff like that. Like like the stuff matters in football, and you got to have a good coach
If
and not have a winning team.
if they struggle again this year, the Giants, and go 4-13, right? You play Jackson Dart for half the season, then the GM and the head coach, I guess they can go to Tish and Mara, and they've got a little wiggle room, right? If you start them sooner rather than later. If the Giants are 4-9 and the kid comes in for a couple games, I'm sorry, I don't see the head coach or the GM coming back. Like you don't really have an argument to say, well, give me another season with them. If that's the case, you should have started him early. And that's my problem. I know the offensive line is shaky, but why you turn around and you go and get two bridge quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston prior to the draft when you knew you needed a quarterback? Like to me, I'm not a fan of that plan, but that's just me. That's just my thought. I think the head coach is a dead man walking. I
So,
don't think he
so
lasts.
you would throw him in right now. So you would throw Jackson Dart in the game right now.
If Andrew Thomas was out there trying to help solidify the offensive line, I bookmarked it because every year I say they're done by Halloween. No disrespect, but I bookmarked it. I said week 4 or 5. I said the game against New Orleans, and then you don't go back to Russ. You obviously have that offensive line a little more stabilized. Now that gives Jackson Dart, Brian Daboll, that gives that offense and that line 10 to 12 weeks. And then you see what the kid has, and it's not smoke and mirrors. And then if you win a couple games, you got something to build on. Maybe it saves Brian Daboll's job. But if you wait till week 10, 11, 12, I don't like that. I think sometimes you got to throw these. Look, I know it was a couple years before you were drafted, but Coughlin threw Eli in when they were 5-3, 5-4. He benched Kurt Warner.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I don't think he'll lose. I don't think that the GM or the coach will lose their job if they didn't play Dart earlier. It'll be for tons of other reasons as well, not for just playing him. I mean, look at our win loss numbers like over the last 2 years.
4-14-1 against the NFC East, man. You know this more than anyone. You got
Yeah,
to
you
win
got to
the
win.
divisional game.
You got to win your divisional games, right? So just the idea of them not playing Dart, I don't think that's going to be a decision that's made. That's going to you know see whether or not they keep his job or not.
Yeah.
If they're not winning, sometimes it comes from high up. Like hey, we're not ready to see him just yet. We don't want him to go in like you said. We've got a wounded offensive line, and you're not to the max. So
Yeah.
I don't want to put my quarterback, in that. But again, I think I always say the Giants was going to draft Jackson Dart. I said that in January before the draft.
Yeah.
I said it when I watched him in the Senior Bowl. That's when I said it. And I think he's a perfect fit for the organization. It gives a little bit dual threat. He gives a dual threat. He can throw the football. He's tough.
Right.
He got a little attitude with him. He's just a little bit more of a different character than the New York Giants franchise are used to at quarterback, and I think that's going to bring a different energy. When he does get his opportunity.
That's a great point. He got a little edge, a little swag to him, right? As
Yeah,
opposed to, a
yeah,
little more. Eli was that laid back, right? Just kind of nothing phased him. Daniel Jones, a little more of the Eli mode. Sims was a little more fiery guy. Everyone knows that. But I think that's what they need. But I'm telling you this right now, man. This kid's not starting by late November, and you go up there in that stadium and you're being overrun, by the opposition. That's not what Mara wants to see. It's not what Tish wants to see. And this, that's when coaches lose their job.
yeah.
You know? So, all
Well,
right.
and
Yeah,
I'm like again, we're
yeah,
on one. We had started the season.
yeah,
I wish we can do much better than what we've done in the past.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Jackson whenever he gets the opportunity to get in, and I do think that he'll change some things. I'm
You
not
believe
saying
he?
Russ isn't the guy. Jameis couldn't be the guy. Like, I'm not saying that. I would like to see Jameis too this year at some point, honestly, because if it's going bad, shit, why not throw Jameis in there, and like he also brings a little bit different. I think we have three quarterbacks that bring something different to the team. Obviously you can't rotate quarterbacks to see who can get going. And you got to play one. If
Yeah,
you're not going to play, just you got to play one the first 4 weeks. You just keep going. Give
yeah,
them 4 weeks at a time and let them play.
yeah. The difference is two or three probably give their teammates their cell phone number.
Right. But they know they're going with Jackson next year anyway as a starter. So
Yeah,
really,
I wouldn't have a
really
problem
this
with
year, I
Winston.
mean, I get we
Yeah,
trying to win too, but you can figure this out, and Jackson could be getting some reps, and, live game reps and live bullets.
listen, I would have had no problem with Jameis Winston starting over Russell Wilson because he's going to throw the ball down the field. Russell Wilson, with all due respect, just looks shot, and it's going to be ugly, man. You sometimes will get that text to me that I can't repeat on the air with the frustration, but it's
Yeah.
just, I'm sorry, I got spoiled with your teams, man. I just got spoiled. The only thing that annoyed the hell out of me with your teams is you're starting seasons 5-3 and 6-2, and then the second half, you always had to make it harder on yourself.
Happy. I'm talking about everything is going great, and next thing you know,
Yeah, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, not good. All right, the
hey,
people are
hold on, wait,
speaking.
wait, wait. How about
Yeah,
Daniel Jones?
you're
How about
my
Daniel
Daniel
Jones in week
Jones.
one?
That's come on, man. Miami is done. They're cooked. They're gonna fire that head coach. I got Daniel Jones throwing for 300 yards and scrambling. Oh,
Hey, man.
well. What does that tell you? Is that the coach or was that the quarterback?
Well, I mean, Daniel Jones obviously was with another coach as well. It just hadn't been this guy, you know. So
I don't listen. All I know is this: good for Daniel Jones. He got his 40. 40 million. He got his money, and good for him. But listen, I've been teasing this all week, man. The people they have been speaking. They want to know right now. Crawford,
yeah,
Alvarez, Bud, Canelo, you and I, we are boxing aficionados. You know this sport. You've managed fighters. You've been around the sport. I'm excited for this one. But I will say this, and obviously I want to get your analysis on this. I feel as though this fight would have been great a couple years ago. I think Canelo has lost a step. I think
I,
Canelo is a touch slower. I know, listen, he's campaigned at what, a buck 68 for 10 of his past 11 fights. His career high was what, 174 back in 2002. They're both future Hall of Famers. They're both multiple division champions. This preconceived idea that Canelo comes in as bigger guy. That's not even the case if you look at the measurements and how they bear out. Here's my key, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think Bud has to be first, start and finish. And I think if Canelo has an opportunity, if Canelo is going to win this fight, Canelo has to try to jump on Crawford early because if he lets him get situated in those early rounds, he's going to start to pick him apart like he did with Earl Spence. And by the way, you on the air, you called that one. You said it was going to be a train wreck, and it was. So I think he's got to start early and often. And I think if for Bud, and if Canelo is going to win this fight, you got to take these rounds early and you got to try to jump on Bud. What do you think?
there there is no way to beat Terrence Crawford, and I'll say that. Excuse me. Coming out and jump on him and showing aggression, which shows Terrence is a great counter fighter as well. He he's great at timing shots. He's great at taking advantage of mistakes. He's great with coming forward, with pushing you back, standing in the pocket, slipping shots and landing punches at the same time. I mean, he's good at fighting on the retreat. Um, Terrence Crawford can do everything, and that's why he's great. The size advantage, I'm not sure that if that's going to be a problem. If Canelo, get off a good shot, whether or not Bud can take it. I mean, at the end of the day, these are two grown men in the ring. Um, I don't think that's going to be now. Canelo is a little stronger than the people Bud has been facing because he's been taking shots from much bigger guys.
Yeah, but he's also looked slower. He hasn't, listen, we know the power is always the last to go, right? But, again, go back, when Canelo fought Plant, younger, right? Now he's a little older. So I don't know. I look at the wear and tear at times, and I get it. He's got the power. You can't deny it. But I just think from a technical standpoint, if Bud gets in there and sets the tone, I think he can frustrate Alvarez. Look, we know his style. Come forward, Mexican fighter, here we go. But go back to his last several fights. He's been very flat-footed. So he's only throwing punches one at a time, Beat. So I'm not seeing these combinations. That worries me. That worries me. Like the punch output. If he's not throwing the combinations and it's in and out of the pocket, I think Crawford's gonna. I think Crawford might be able to get a stoppage. That's what I think. So obviously, if you can hear me, you can weigh in anytime. All right, so I know it's going to happen. Yeah, you want to jump in and jump back out.
I can't hear nothing.
You can't hear nothing here. So hold on a second. We're gonna situate this because we got some good stuff. Quick timeout. We're gonna situate it. Hang tight, guys. Hang tight. Hang tight. Hang tight. We're gonna punch up Brandon in a second. By the way, it's not the Death Star Mike. Death Star Mike has nothing to do with it. It's not on my end. And we're gonna get to your comments. We're gonna get to your comments. It's not the Death Star Mike, you guys with the Death Star Mike nonsense. It's not on my end. Brandon's sitting there in the nice Georgia weather somewhere with the breeze coming in. Yeah, exactly. So what I was saying, B, is that I think Canelo, because if you look at the last several fights, little flat-footed, hasn't really engaged in the pocket, not throwing a lot of combinations, more like a one-punch fighter here and there. I don't like that going into this fight. And if he comes off like that, then I think Crawford's going to be able to break him down. I'm not going to suggest he's going to get stopped, but then I think it might be a relatively easy fight for Crawford.
Um, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Rich, but
Yeah,
Canelo's been flat-footed. He was flat-footed when he was 22, 23 years old. He's done all of this while being flat-footed.
yeah.
Always, his footwork hadn't always been the best, but he's always been able to outbox people. He has a great deal. I don't know if he don't have more skills than Bud does, in my opinion, but he has enough skills to he stood in the ring with a lot of top fighters. And with that type of experience he's been in there with some really, really good, tough fighters. And I think that could be something that could take him later on in the fight that can, win him the fight in the end in a decision. But I think Bud has you know, the, the capability of going in there, picking his spots,
Mm.
being aggressive sometimes, being non-aggressive sometimes. Look like looking for holes. Like he's going to switch it up. He can switch hit. He can go from southpaw to
That's
conventional.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything. Like he can do
But Canelo's
everything.
seen that too. Canelo's
And I
seen all that.
and I think with him being so just being able to adapt to different styles and do different styles, I think that's going to be something that's going to be a problem for Canelo going down the fight. And I honestly love Canelo. I do. Ever since Canelo started speaking English, I was like one of the best fans of him. Right? It's awesome. Like listen to me talk shit and just like he goes off, man. And so I'm a big fan of Canelo, but I'm an even bigger fan of Bud. I think Floyd Mayweather is the GOAT. Floyd right now is my GOAT. I think if Crawford goes and beat Canelo, he's the GOAT for sure.
Wow. I mean, we're gonna have to save that debate for another day because you know how I feel about these debates and these rankings. You guys like to just pick on me when we start to talk about these different eras. And
Floyd Mayweather is the greatest fighter of all time.
Oh, all right. Well, that's one man's humble opinion, right? All right. Who do you
Richard,
like in
you
this
know
fight?
that. You know that as well, Richard.
Don't put words. Hey, man, don't put words in my mouth. Who do you like in this fight?
I'm going Crawford. I'm gonna go Crawford I think he's gonna be on. I think he's gonna be stronger. I think he's gonna be able to hurt Canelo. You know, head wise. Yeah, like going to the body would probably be a little bit. You got to go to the body throughout the fight, obviously,
Agree. Yeah.
change it up. But I think Bud is actually gonna destroy him pretty good and like feet, like hand in hand. I don't think he will knock him out. But I think if there is a knockout, I think it may be uh, the other way around. But I think I got Bud winning the fight in the decision.
Kind of like how he broke down Spence, and
Right.
then he pulled away in that
12
one.
round masterclass.
Yeah,
Clinic.
yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly what you said. You
Yep.
called it prior too, right?
Yep.
I
12
remember
round
that.
masterclass.
Vince wants to know how do you feel about coaches in developing and scouting quarterback? He's seen a lot. I guess because the argument we've been talking about in the NFL is, it seems like they get these quarterbacks wrong.
Well, I think it's more of taking, not getting it wrong, but you want to take a guy out of an environment that he's been in for the last 3 or 4 years, playing with most of the same people for the same 3 or 4 years, with the same coaches in most cases for the same 3 or 4 years. Now you take him out of that environment and bring him into your environment with different players, different plays, different coaches. You're not going to get the same thing right away out of some guy, and it don't matter if you can be a great quarterback developer, right?
Right, right.
None of that matters. Everything around that kid or that player changes instantly that he has to get used to now.
Yeah,
And you just never know the way. Same thing. You give people a ton of money in free agent. You give somebody 4 year, 5 year, $85 million deal to come in when you've been running routes for the same wide receiver, the same wide receiver coaches, the same head coaches, same quarterback. Now you got to come over here to this team with different players. You have to get used to stuff, and some things, it's just it takes time.
yeah. I don't
So
even believe I'm.
just what it is.
I can't believe I'm actually going to ask this, but please, Brandon, does he go with Eli or Peyton Manning? Keep it 100. I mean, come on, man. Everyone knows Eli's your guy.
Eli's my guy. I'm never picking any quarterback that ever touched the football throughout the history of the NFL over my quarterback. I'm never doing that. So
So 80 yards to go, 2 timeouts, under 2
I'm going with
minutes.
10. I'm going with 10. If it's 80 yards to go and we can go win the game and he throw a pick, I'm going with that 10 too.
Yeah.
Every time. We picking him up off
I
the ground and we trying again. Every time.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
going
I
with 10.
know. Hey, listen, Eli's my guy. You already know that. I know I asked you this when we were doing the pod, but a couple guys want to know, we ask when we have, athletes on, and of course, guys that win a couple rings. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
It wasn't more of a game type situation. It was when I got that playbook the first time. Looking at the playbook, all the different calls, you got the same routes, different formation. You got the same play ran from a different formation, and the guy you're reading doing something totally different on the two different plays, but it's the same play. You have to remember what formation you have, or what route conversions you have in order to run your route. I need to know what Plaxico Burrs is doing over there at the X in order to know what I'm running. So I have
Mm.
to know what he's running, and I have to know what my route is off of his route to open up certain things, right? So it wasn't more of an NFL football, physical football situation, other than just getting that playbook and knowing how much stuff they had in there.
With that being said, I remember, and Kevin C, who chimes in, he's a big time from North Jersey, big time Giants fan. So, he wanted to know, as a young player, as a young running back, did it frustrate you to get goal line touches? I would think not, because you were getting in the end zone. But, from a football standpoint, early on in your career, when did you say to yourself, you know what, I can play this game at a high level?
My second year, in the league, Tiki was going to retire,
Yeah,
and I was the third down back. My first year, I was the first. I was goal line and short yardage. Right,
yeah,
I think I had a pretty good percentage, a pretty good win percentage. My rookie year, I just wanted to get as many of them as I could. Um, but Tiki was there coming into my second year. Went set up and watched film with Gerald, the running back coach. My off season, I'd be in his office, and we'll be looking at pass protections and going over who to block, who it is, because like we need to go because we need to try to get you on the field more this year. So you can help our team. Like you bring a lot to us. We don't want you to just be short yardage and goal line where everybody know what's coming when you go in the game. We want you to be able to stay out there and run your whole drive and do your short yardage and goal line throughout those times. So we have to teach you right now this past because my rookie year I got kind of frustrated because I wanted to play, but I wasn't ready to play.
Mm.
I wasn't ready to play, and I wasn't gonna get my quarterback hit being selfish, asking for more snaps and more minutes and more playing time. Being frustrated. I get it, yeah, because I was a competitor. So yeah, so I was a little taken back by that, but in the grand scheme of things, I just wasn't ready to play. I wasn't ready to go out there to be out there my whole drive. I would
Yeah.
have quarterback hurt because I didn't know what I was doing until my second year. So my second year come around, I know all my route conversions. I know my pass pros. I know who's the mic, who I'm picking up, who's the line sliding to, if it's five down base or three down base, or you got these three guys, them two linebackers, I'm scanning for everybody else until you can actually learn that and go out there and be able to protect your quarterback. That's when you're okay to go play. So my first year, I wanted to play more, but I just wasn't ready.
Yeah, Man says Brandon was Chat GPT was around back then when you had that playbook. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to figure and decipher that out, man. That had to be annoying. But you got to study, right? You got to study.
Study, and I got to tell you, my
Yeah,
rookie year, I barely did any studying.
rip.
Barely did any studying. I wanted to make sure I was going on the right side to get the handoff most cases. I wasn't. I was just looking at that. I didn't really get the. I mean, we talk about it in meetings. We go through it. I see it. I hear it. But for me to put extra time in, I was just looking at this run on short yardage and this run on goal line. This play action. If we're gonna throw the ball while I'm in the game, it's gonna be a play action. I'm bumping. I'm going toward the defensive end on a three-step drop. They
Yeah.
slide, hit, leave him open. I fake, hit him. That'll be the gist of my pass protection. And then I started to put more time in the off season and coming into that next season. Wow, where I was able to play more.
Um, you think it's better to start right away or sit in the league? I guess, I mean, in any quarterback position, running back position, a little different, right? Sometimes you got to make your mark in special teams, but, um, what do you think? I mean, does it depend on the position if you're coming in?
It's, I mean, I still talk about. I'm still wild at some situations with some players like Adrian Peterson coming in as a rookie and doing everything he's done from that point forward, without having that guy in front of you, to mentor you and help you. I mean, I'm glad I had that. But I take my hat off to guys like even Cedric Benson came in. His rookie year, he played right away. Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown, a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of guys went in. They were starting. I mean, they were top 5 draft picks. 2, 4, and 5 were those 3 guys. So they had to go in and play right away. Adrian Peterson I think he was a first rounder, but I don't know how early or late he was. So he actually, the stuff he was able to do as a young person going in, I just don't think I would have been able to do that. But again, I studied the game. Not saying that they don't study the game. I understood where each of my linemen was going. I was never running the daylight. I had to really understand where they were going in order to know who's going to be the hard block for me, who's possibly going to get beat because the block is so hard that they're asking them to complete. So he may get beat. So I now have to watch him be coming from my blind side. Or if you get him, okay, this safety is blocked, but I know backside safety is not going to block. So
Mm.
when I come out, I'm looking up for this safety to try to come get a free shot. Like I studied Jack Gerald, like he taught me the game of football, and as far as concepts and everything at my position, guy's a goat for sure. So I learned everything I needed to learn, before I can get out. Like my second year, going into my second year, I knew everything. I knew where each of my linemen was going. I could fill out a test and block it up. You put 3 or 4 different defenses fronts up there. I'm gonna block the play up to the play that we call them from 3 different formations. I had to learn all of that before I was ready to go. And again, I salute guys that go out there. That our offense was complex. It was, to me, it was. We had so many other things that we were just looking at. You're not just looking at blocking this specific linebacker and running the football. No, that's not what it is. It's a little bit more than that.
Yeah. And you guys, like you mentioned, right? You guys, a lot of out of the flat, little screen passes, bubble screens, wheel routes. You had that one against Dallas down the sideline, the Gilbride offense, throwing the ball down the field, which, you know, I wish that was occurring. Scott says if Canelo lands a good amount of power punches and can show the judges Bud's hits aren't hurting him, but Bud looks better, can Canelo steal the decision or does he need to knock Bud down? So if Canelo wins this fight, does he have to knock him out? Does he have to knock Crawford out? You think he'll win it on the scorecards?
No, I don't think that. I think if anybody has to win on by knockout, I think it'd be Bud.
Bud.
Because I think Turkey has more money to make by making David Benavidez in the Canelo fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the fix is already in for Bud. Bud's gonna have to stop him or make it a clear decision where it ain't no split decision. It's a master class.
Yeah, a master class.
You know, like 10 rounds to 2, 8 rounds to 4, straight just boxing, move,
Boxing
power
dominate.
shots,
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
like cutting him up. Like he's gonna have to be that. And I think that's the way it's gonna be. You're not gonna be able to take the fight from Terrence Crawford unless it's close. Because there is more money to be made with Canelo and Benavidez.
Interesting. And yeah, you're not going to get a rematch too if Crawford,
No.
Dissects him. Are you? I'm going to assume you'll hit the road tomorrow, right? Clemson and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, yeah. The game is here in Atlanta. I'm getting ready to go to my son's high school game now, though.
Oh no! All right. Well,
the game is here in Atlanta, so we're gonna catch Marta and go on into.
Oh yeah, that's what. How far is that from where you are?
35 minutes.
That's a little smoke and joke drive. That's an easy drive for you.
We're gonna hop on the train, man.
That's safer. How's your son doing?
He's doing
How are
good,
your
man.
sons doing?
He's developing. He's right on time.
Yeah.
Right on time. He gets some snaps. He plays and just trying to bring him in slow.
That video of you guys working out, everyone was texting me. They're like, yo, man, is this your boy? I was like, that's Brandon. I was like, his son. I don't know what they feed them down there, but he is a beast. Mini beast.
He's a bird. He was bird eater, man. He wasn't doing that much. It wasn't a whole lot of stuff that he was eating. Just a big kid. Nice frame, good looking kid. Athletic.
Yeah.
Strong, bends at 6'8", he has great bend.
6'8".
So just looking forward to watching him develop in college, man.
That's awesome.
The line coach and just see where it goes, man.
That's awesome, man. God bless. That's fantastic. As long as they're healthy and they're enjoying what they're doing and they're being productive, they're having fun. You look a little trim though. You got the beard going. You tighten up a little bit. You don't need to give me the double buy. I don't need the double buy. I don't need to see the double.
I was looking at that though. I look a little skinny.
Every time I compliment you, why
some businessman could try me?
Oh, come on. You gonna get back on a Sunday? What are you gonna do? What are you weighing right now? You in game shape?
I know I'm not in game shape, Rich. I'm too damn much right now, man.
Because you know why? Because it's the spicy margaritas.
I haven't had one of them in a year.
I don't listen. Do not lie to me. And it's the hookah.
I had one in a year. I promise.
You don't think I see your stories on Facebook?
Dude, you see other stuff. You don't see
No spicy margarita?
I need to quit drinking it all though, man, because I'm trying to get my weight down. I'm trying to get sexy again. Just trying to be, on top of my game.
Well, I don't even know where to end on that one. All right, brother. I know. Listen, I know we're gonna get you back on because, believe it or not, NBA is right around the corner, so we can both go back and forth on our little debates with the NBA. So you like Bud? I'm kind of leaning towards Crawford as well. I think the Giants, with all due respect, are going to get waxed on Sunday. So if you get a text from me at the half, it's probably
you act like they're playing like
what?
You act like they're playing like the somebody that's worth anything. They're playing the Cowboys, and you act like they're going to play against the Chiefs or somebody, or the Eagles, or somebody that's just monstrous with this monstrous ass team.
Because
it's the Dallas Cowboys. Let's not get it twisted. They're no different than us.
Would you call me a panic mode fan every time they
go man. You got to be shitting me. They're playing the Cowboys. for crying out loud.
Hold
They
on
ain't
before
playoffs
I let
either.
you go. Are you hold on? You're going to give me a number 27. You're going to give me a lock. You're going to give me a mortal lock. Giants get the win on Sunday.
Giants get the win on Sunday.
Give me a score.
Well, we struggling on offense, but our defense is playing pretty good. You know, you never know with Dak Prescott. So I'm gonna go off and say Giants 24-21.
All right. Because you know if they're down 17-3, you're going to check your phone. You're going to be like, man, why is he texting me right now?
Now my phone gonna turn it off.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man. I miss you. I'm glad we're catching up. We got to do it again.
Hey, yep, let's do it again, man.
All right,
Enjoy
B.
your Friday.
All right, you got it, brother. Be well, man. All right, there you have it. My guy, Brandon Jacobs, two-time Super Bowl champ from the New York Football Giants. He always gives great stuff, man. That's my guy. That's my guy. No friggin' nonsense. He gives me absolutely no nonsense. We love it. We always appreciate him jumping on board for a couple moments. And 5:30, Lloyd's going to join us as well, so we'll punch him up. And then John Bueller, 5:45. We will definitely get a little thoughts on some college. Yeah, Kevin C. Love the segment Q. Outstanding job. Appreciate that. You know what? Let's punch up Lloyd. See if we can punch up Lloyd right now as we're moving along, moving along. Yeah, the Death Star mic, by the way, that wasn't on me. My Death Star mic has been absolutely on point, and that's pretty much where we're at. It's never been that route. It's always been the other route. So, all right, quick timeout. We're going to punch up Lloyd on the other side. All right, welcome back, everyone. Good stuff. Yeah, Brandon, tell Brandon to turn the phone off. I don't know what you're more defensive of the Death Star. It wasn't even me this time, right? There's no double gun because I don't have the guns like Brandon does. Yeah, I got about 50 people hitting me up saying they love the spot, and only Man's complaining about the microphone. There, you can't please them all, man. You can't please them all. And as we welcome in our guy, Lloyd Vance, kind enough to join us for a couple moments. I know we're a little tight, but we dropped a great BYP today. And let's get to it. I know we got a couple minutes. Let's kind of hit on some of these marquee games, starting with last night. Excellent job by the Packers and that defense and Jordan Love. I was a little surprised by the outcome. I know both teams got hit with some injuries. But I thought ultimately, Green Bay's kind of flexing their muscle, are they not?
Yeah, Q. They're really looking like they're going to be a strong contender for the conference championship in NFC. And when you look at the way they dominated the Commanders, it's like wow. Now they have Parsons on that defense with Gary, and they can spread the football around. And the main thing is Jordan Love is looking very efficient at quarterback.
Yeah, he was, and that's the key, right? Don't turn the football over. Just basically make plays. And I thought defensively they did a hell of a job. Kansas City, the Philadelphia Eagles, everyone's looking at this, the revenge factor. We know Kansas City comes in, they're banged up. This is a big game, 4 o'clock, 4:25 window, I believe. Fox game, national game. You'll get Burkhardt, you'll get Brady. Here we go. Eagles are laying 1.5. That line has dropped a point plus. I don't know if we really consider this revenge factor. Like it's regular season, it's week 2. Like this game had meaning late in the season. I would look at it as something different. Again, I just that offense to me with Kansas City has so many issues that I don't know if they can just go point for point with the Eagles. And if the Eagles can dominate the offensive line, they should win the game. The only caveat to me is that secondary of Philadelphia. I just don't trust a player like Adoree Jackson. I know Fangio had to mix and match a little bit with that secondary going into this one.
Yeah, Q, this is going to be an interesting game because all along, yeah, you're thinking the Eagles, wow, road favorite in Kansas City, which you never see. The Chiefs last year 8-0 at home. Uh, I know you and I on BYP, I said you can't bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid, but when you look at this on paper, this is a tough assignment for the Chiefs because there's just not a lot of talent to help Patrick Mahomes. Maybe Kelsey stepped forward, but you talk about the injuries at the receiver position, Hollywood Brown's there, Juju Smith-Schuster. You're just not sure. But the Eagles definitely have to keep the pressure off, and they got to block better against the Eagles. That was a key in that Super Bowl win for
Yeah,
them
and
against KC.
it's something we talked a little bit about. You like this next matchup, that 8:20 game, Atlanta against Minnesota. Minnesota's laying 3.5. Falcons could have tied it up against Tampa. Kicker misses the chip shot, rarely misses, and the Vikings come back on the road, mind you, 21 in that fourth quarter by the rookie JJ McCarthy. They looked really good, and I thought Brian Flores, I thought he dialed it up defensively.
Yeah, this is going to be a show me something type of game because the Falcons should be angry. As you said, Young Wei Koo misses that kick. Michael Penix Jr. played pretty well in that game, and it was a good solid effort by him. There's some injuries on the Falcons, particularly at the receiver position. You got to watch that. But the Vikings, as long as they block them up, because Darshall may be out of this one for them, their left tackle. JJ McCarthy should be able to make some plays because let's not forget Jefferson's out there. He still has Jones and Mason at the running back position.
Denver and the Colts. Here you go. Bo Nix, Daniel Jones. Who will go to 2-0? Denver's laying 1.5. I'm a big Bo Nix fan. Brandon and I were just talking about Daniel Jones. He played well against a team that didn't even show up in Miami. I suspect the Broncos are going to try to lay the wood against Indianapolis. They didn't play particularly well. And like I said, that line was 8.5. Sean Payton should have went for the 3. He chose not to. They win by 8. But the Colts are feeling themselves a little bit right now. A little juice when you look around that AFC South. Tennessee's a young team, Jacksonville okay, and then Houston's struggling. So this is a nice little week 2 matchup.
Yeah, it is. And the Broncos, they squeaked it out. They beat the Tennessee Titans, but they got to be more efficient. They got to cut down on their penalties. But Daniel Jones, it was just clean pocket all day against Miami Dolphins team that I think is really going to struggle this season. So I think the Broncos, who had 6 sacks last week, are going to dial up the pressure and then see if Daniel Jones can beat him with his arm instead of running the ball and try to contain Taylor. So I'll go with the Broncos in a close one here.
49ers, they're going to insert Mac Jones. And this is the reason that Kyle Shanahan, the quarterback whisperer, brings in guys like this, right? Kind of a cast off. They're laying 3.5 on the road against New Orleans. I still think New Orleans offense is anemic. I mean, the 49ers, you got an ugly win last week. You got New Orleans, you got the Cardinals, you got Jacksonville. No Brock Purdy for maybe 2-5, but they might be able to get to 3-1, which, if you think about it, all things considered, with all these injuries, would be a hell of a start.
It would, and they're just trying to stay healthy and get ready for like November, December when the games really are mattering. But they're going to lean very heavily on Christian McCaffrey in this game. He played 75% of their snaps last week, and I expect him to get a ton of touches. Uh, Mac Jones, now's your time. Let's see.
Yeah.
Don't forget he was a first round draft pick by
Oh
the
yeah.
Patriots some time ago, so he does have some ability coming out of Alabama. Like I said, a lot of McCaffrey, Fred Warner on defense. The Saints are scrappy. Yeah, they're probably going to win about 4 to 5 games, but they're a scrappy unit. And Rattler played better than we thought, but I think the Niners win this one.
Now, you said something earlier on BYP. You thought Baltimore was going to cover the number at 11.5, and the total is 44.5. The Browns offense got a little life, a little juice from Joe Flacco. They got to run the ball better. Their kicking woes, right? The kicker misses a field goal and an extra point. There's 4 right there. That would have beat Cincinnati, open up. And then you get the Ravens, who are pissed off. I mean, they blew a game where they turned around and they knew for a fact, listen, we have an opportunity now to keep on knocking off the Buffalo Bills. Henry ran rough shot, and then he just had the costly fumble. Josh Allen does what he does. I think this is a spot where the Ravens blow the doors off of Cleveland. I like the Ravens and the 11.5.
Yeah, Q, I agree with you. I think the Ravens are going to win this one big. And as you said, they're angry. They know they have to keep pace. They're trying to get that top spot with the Buffalo Bills having a game in hand. Now they got to really try to play catch up going throughout the season. And the big thing, obviously, is blocking Miles Garrett. Denzel Ward is going to be on the outside trying to shut down Zay Flowers, who really had a nice game. But I just expect a lot of, you know, Jackson. You know, I think
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is going to run the football a lot, and this is a big chance for them to get a divisional win. Don't forget this is a divisional game, and they know they have to get it done at home.
And then two more before I let you get out of here. By the way, we did 60 minutes BYP. Lloyd and I ripped through every game. That's up on demand right now on the YouTube channel, and it'll be on SR 1029 as well, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. Two more. The Monday night, the double dip, my friend. Tampa 1-0 against the Texans, 0-1. We both think it might be panic time for the Texans. They only scored 9. CJ Stroud was sacked and attacked and harassed. They're laying 2.5. The total's 42.5.
Yeah, early on, I thought the Texans win this game, but I think the Bucks go in there and win this one because uh, Texans allowed a lot of yards. They had a lot of penalties in this game in it last week, and I just think Baker Mayfield's playing very well, and the defense is playing a lot better with Winfield Jr. and the rest of those guys.
Jared wants some quick thoughts before we close it out on that Chargers Raider. That Cincinnati game, Cincinnati's, they're an interesting animal, right? Because we always talk about this offense. We didn't really see it. It was an ugly win. They did what they had to do. There's no sexy points in the NFL. But now you got Jacksonville. They went through that weather, the lightning, the rain delay, everything against Carolina. And the total's a little high, I believe, at 49. I was looking at 47 and a half. I mean, is this a game where we see 27-24 kind of a shootout between Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow?
I think that number may be a little high. I think they both played kind of sloppy last week, but maybe Burrow gets some revenge from last week. Yes, he got the win, but it was just sloppy. He gets the ball on Jamar Chase, and Brown's running the ball pretty effectively. The Bengals defense, though, they're going to have to get some more stops. And Trevor Lawrence, it's now or never for him and Hunt and the rest of the guys. So should be a competitive game, but I do expect the Bengals to win that one.
A little West Coast on a Monday night to close it out. My Chargers against the Raiders. Geno Smith played well against New England. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. I hate that hook. I hate that 3.5 on the road. Man, if that line drops to 3, I would probably grab the Chargers. 45.5. I think this might be a high scoring game, especially with these two quarterbacks under center, slinging it all over the place. I look at this game as a 28-24. I'm actually leaning towards the Chargers on the money line, even though it's 3.5, and I hate that hook.
Yeah, you always got to beware the home dog, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Chargers can keep, the pressure on the AFC West, where they're now leaders and they beat the Chiefs. Herbert was very efficient, as you were saying. He spread the football around, particularly Keenan Allen. They got Hampton involved in the running game. Raiders, though, Geno Smith has something there, and Pete Carroll's a veteran coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. I think, though, that the Chargers win it, but it's probably going to be a close game.
All right, brother. Don't forget, everyone, follow Lloyd at Lloyd Vance. We banged out I'm telling you, great content today with BYP 60 minutes. Lloyd and I might squeeze a little shortened edition of On Cue on a Saturday to kind of go through a couple things NFL wise. We talked a little bit about panic time, head coaches on the hot seat, but give Lloyd a follow at Lloyd Vance every Monday night. He does a hell of a job. Lloyd Vance's Insider Football 8 to 9 on SR 1029 FM. The Game joins me during the NFL season on BYP and of course on Q. And yeah, real quick, I don't know. So Brandon's a big fan of Jackson Dart. He's a big fan, so he knows how I feel about Russ marinating. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
17 to 37. Russ isn't marinating much. I think he only
Uh,
gets a couple more weeks, and then they make the switch. Dayball, he's on the hot seat
I
fighting
know.
with neighbors. They're going to have to do something. So
Uh,
we'll
it's
wait and see.
it's fishing weather, brother. All right, man. I will talk to you, Mignana. Outstanding stuff and fascinating. Just great insight today with BYP. Got a lot of feedback already, and we only put that up on demand maybe like 2 hours ago.
Nice.
So awesome stuff, man. But we'll talk tomorrow, man. Thank you,
All
brother.
right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, quick timeout. Well, we know how you guys get really frustrated when we take fast timeouts. So I think in 15 to 20 seconds to kind of get us situated. I even have a cup of my fresh roasted coffee with the promo code BYP20 as we welcome in our good friend John Bueller from Fansided, and does a great job with his pods as well. Don't forget to always give him a follow on social media. So I know you heard a little bit me with Brandon, and of course me with Lloyd. So interesting weekend in the NFL, right? We talk about this week 2. I'll throw it out to you to start. Is it must win time, panic time for a team like Houston, Miami, the Giants, or are these just teams you think maybe they're in for long seasons? We already know you believe Miami and the Giants are, but what about Houston?
I've not been high on Houston all off season. Again, my pick to win the AFC South was Tennessee. Jacksonville looked really good last week versus Carolina, so maybe it's them. I'm just of the belief that the Texans may have missed their window to be the preeminent team in that division. I don't think the Colts are going to get there, but they did look pretty good with Daniel Jones last week. But I would be pretty concerned if I was Houston. And again, like I saw the Buccaneers up close and personal, beating my Atlanta Falcons down the stretch and everything like that. Tampa's playing with a lot of confidence. They're not fully healthy. And Houston, again, I don't think Houston can go in an 0-2 hole.
Look, now with the Colts winning that game and Jacksonville getting the win, and then we know that the Tennessee Titans are going to struggle mightily. I think. I mean, it could be a year. You like the Colts. When we were talking a little bit, I was like, oh, what are we doing here? But Daniel Jones played well, and now they got a Denver team. I think they need to keep Daniel Jones upright. I didn't like what I saw from Denver. I thought the offense struggled. I thought Sean Payton tried to get cute early, but this might be a game where, okay, is Denver legit? Go on the road, beat a team that maybe we're recency bias overvaluating, right? Or from a Colts standpoint, is the other shoe going to drop with Daniel Jones? Meaning, come Monday, is Daniel Jones's stat line 18 of 36, a buck 65, and a pick? Like, I think somewhere the truth, we're going to figure it out. That truth's going to be somewhere in between.
Yeah, he's going to lose the glass slipper at some point. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be against Denver. Again, Denver came in with a lot of hype, a lot of expectations. Really well coached. I think Nick's is in the perfect spot for him to develop as a quarterback under Sean Payton. I just don't like the Broncos' weapons. I just don't think that they have enough juice offensively to outscore people as much as they would. And I mean, and they probably could beat in Indy again, but like I was not super high on the Colts here, but like it would say more about this game if Indianapolis won versus Denver winning. Whereas like we may not necessarily know what Denver is until a little bit later.
Right, but I also believe, and Michael says Denver's winning Indy. I also believe conversely, if Denver loses this game,
Yeah.
right, then if they lose this game 28-10, now we got to start. And Daniel Jones plays well this again. Now we have to start looking at Indianapolis. Like, okay, maybe first couple games of the season, maybe they got something cooking. A little more concerns here with the Denver Broncos. Now Indianapolis, if they get this win. Then they've got the Titans. Now
Yeah.
you're 3-0. And maybe you get humbled against the Rams, but at least you're probably the talk of the NFL to start the season.
Yeah, if you get out to a 3-1 start through essentially the first quarter of your season, you can build momentum with that. Again, the beautiful part about the NFL is it's a parity-driven league. There are teams out there every year that we don't expect to do much that end up doing something. It could be the Colts. It could be any number of teams at the start of the year. But I think Shane Steichen's a good head coach, and I think we've seen Daniel Jones play well at times. Again, but if they get this win over Denver, that would be very huge for them and would probably show a lot more concerns there for the Broncos, though.
Did Green Bay show last night that let's pump the brakes or Washington, or did they show we are a legit contender now in the NFC?
Probably more of the latter. I think they're a little bit more of a contender than probably I anticipated. Again, this all goes back to the Micah Parsons trade. Anytime that Green Bay has had a player in and around that caliber coming in through free agency or trade, whether that's Reggie White, whether that's Charles Woodson, like somebody that provides some sort of juice that was not drafted by your organization. Again, the Packers don't really do much in free agency given the market constraints, the climate, and everything like that.
Yep.
But you get a player like that for a team that's got a very high floor in Green Bay. And Detroit, we saw the coaching attrition come out in a big way last week. Chicago's a disaster, and then
100%.
Minnesota. I think Minnesota kind of got lucky because Chicago's a disaster.
It's a really good point you bring up, and this is what happens too, right? When you lose your coordinators, I think Caleb Williams is going to get benched at some point in the season. I don't want to see it. I think he is. I think that's a bad way to set the tone for the season. Losing that game against Minnesota, give the Vikings and their rookie quarterback some credit, no doubt, but it's a bad loss. And to your point, when you start to look around this league and we start to look at these teams a couple weeks in, you better figure it out sooner rather than later. And Green Bay's defense is really, really good. I mean, Parsons is a disruptor, but that team as a whole, they can move the football. I know they lost, one of their weapons as well, the young wide receiver, but they can run it. And the quarterback's starting to kind of, figure it out. The game's really slowing down for Jordan Love. I'm not going to sit here and say right now they're the biggest threat to the Eagles, who have Kansas City. That's the late window, 425 on Fox. I look at this game, and I gave the numbers out earlier today on Back Your Play. Kansas City, their ATS, their record ATS at home is just remarkable. But I got to be honest, John, I'm kind of throwing that all out the window. I just think this is a bad spot for Kansas City. I think the Eagles go in there and they absolutely wax them.
Yeah, you needed to win that game on Friday last week versus the Chargers, because this was always going to be a tough spot for the Chiefs. You've got the team that you lost the Super Bowl to. You were on the precipice of a three-peat. You got your tail kicked in immediately.
There you go. That's the point. You got your tail kicked in. Yep.
And not that I say that like an 0-2 hole is something that's insurmountable that the Chiefs can't overcome, but it starts getting in your head. Doubt starts seeping in, and I wonder if the Chiefs are good enough. Pretty much anywhere besides Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, are they good enough along the offensive line? Is the pass rush still going to be good? How good are the weapons? The doubt starts creeping in, and then you look at other teams out there like a Buffalo or a Baltimore. It's like, okay, maybe they can get it.
Yeah, listen, that number, 22 straight home games, the longest active streak in the NFL, that's what they've been favored in. And again, you can kind of throw all those stats at me. If they're going to win this game, they got to exploit that Eagles secondary. I mean, and Adoree Jackson gave up over 100 yards last week. Mitchell right now, he'll be outside corner opposite Mitchell will Adoree Jackson. That's what Fangio said. So it doesn't really give you, a false sense, or I should say a heavy sense of security. I just think the Chiefs are just a banged up. I just didn't like them even winning the division this year. It's I saw a team that got broke. They got broke in that Super Bowl, period. And now you're expecting them to ramp it back up. I mean, look, they were on the precipice, as you said. You're talking back to back to back, right? And the 49ers tried to do that years ago, and the Giants knocked them off in Candlestick 15-13. Summerall, there's going to be no three-peat, right? With Barr's fifth field goal. That's a deflating loss, and that was in an NFC championship. Mind you, Kansas City got embarrassed in the Super Bowl, and you get the whole Travis Kelce and the engagement and the Swifties, and is Andy Reid going to retire, and Patrick Mahomes taking a lot of hits. I see this as a 34-13 type of game. I really do. I'm overly inflated confidence. I don't have the Duke with me, my football on this Friday, but maybe I'm too high on the Eagles, but I think they're going to embarrass Kansas City again. And this is not, by the way, for those saying this is Q's reverse mush, it is not. I'm just stating what I believe is going to happen.
I take the Eagles here, but probably not by the margin that you're saying. Again, you mentioned the Eagles can be exploited in the secondary, but that also means you have to get beyond their front seven, which is disgustingly good. So, good luck with that.
Yeah. Scott says, I like this one. Miami losing would cause so many problems internally that already exist, but it would magnify. So I think they should be in panic mode. I think that coach is dead man walking. And apparently they interviewed Tyreek Hill. Little cheetah today was kind of clawing back, talking, hey, you haven't had a 30-yard reception, more than 30 yards in like a year. And he's like, what are you guys trying to piss me off? He's all about the stats, period. A couple guys commented weeks ago, start to cue the music now with him getting traded. Well, actually, it was Monday after that loss. Tua's taking hits. They're turning over the football. You have a franchise that brings in Waller that basically, again, is already one foot, one leg, one rap video out the door. Doesn't want to play anymore, and you're bringing him in late in the offseason. That's what I'm thinking. It's like you're trying to now put that band-aid over that frigging gunshot, and it's not going to work. If you told me right now who gets fired first in season, Dable or McDaniel, I think it's going to be McDaniel, because I think those players are going to revolt. And here's the other thing: when you and I'm sorry for the long-winded, but I get very passionate about this. When you have a players only meeting,
Yeah.
after one game, I'm sorry, when you have a players only meeting after the first game of the season, the ship be a sinking. It is about to be a mute. I'm talking about, the rats fleeing, Titanic playing the music. Here we go. Is there enough room for me, Jack, and Kate, and all this other stuff? It's bad in Miami.
This is a 4-13 football
It
team.
is. I would lean them the rest of the way, man. I would lean Miami every time out.
At some point, like for fantasy football, like I'm just streaming defenses. So basically, whoever the Saints or the Dolphins are playing, like that's who I'm going to pick up. But yeah, I think it might be McDaniel be the first guy to go, because I think he's a little more outspoken than Daboll. Daboll will try to schmooze and pander with everything like that, because that's just the mayor way of everything like that. He's trying to hold on for dear life so he can coach Jackson Dart. Stop playing Russell Wilson. Just stop. It's a colossal waste of time.
I know, but you need to solidify that line. You got to get Andrew Thomas out there, and then another week or two. But I agree with you. I think they're in trouble, man. Before I let you get out of here, I do want to ask you real quick, switch gears. College football. You got Georgia, Tennessee, a battle of 2-0s. Anything stand out in your mind in that game? I mean, obviously Georgia's laying 3.5. The total is 50.5.
It's been a very interesting game to kind of cover and in the lead up to it. Like Georgia's won like the last 8. They've won 12 of the last 14 in this 12 of the last 15 in this rivalry series. Like the last time Tennessee won was Kirby Smart's first year back in Athens on Dobbs nail boot, where Josh Dobbs threw a Hail Mary to Juwan Jennings.
Wow.
But I will say though, like Tennessee is good. But my concern is, look, Josh Heupel runs an air raid. It's gimmicky, and just for in layman's terms, you're not running a full route tree with that offense. Kirby Smart's a defensive back. He's like, we're going to get people like KJ Bolden and Ellis Robinson to basically take away one of the branches on a limited route tree here. Joey Aguilar has played very well for the Vols since transferring over from UCLA. He played the previous years at App State. He will turn the ball over at will. So that could be a concern. And in this rivalry, like particularly since Heupel's taken over, like the games aren't particularly close, especially in Neyland. Like Georgia wins by multiple scores. Again, I'm going to be a nervous wreck watching this game because Georgia's got a bye after this. Then they host Alabama, who's gettable, and then Alabama's got a trap game with Wisconsin coming in. Seeing all of that, I can see why people like wanting to pick Tennessee, kind of like the flavor of the week here. Again, I'm probably a little bit too biased with this, but I don't know. I feel that like Kirby Smart has owned Josh Heupel, and until proven otherwise, I got to stay with the Dogs.
And then lastly, South Florida, right?
Yeah.
2 wins over ranked opponents. Now you get an opportunity to knock off big brother Miami, who's ranked 5th. That is a heavy line. Miami 17.5. The total is 56.5. This is a kind of a look but don't touch, but I actually think South Florida, they keep this game relatively close. I don't see them getting waxed, but if they win this game, do we now jettison them in, top 10?
That'd be very interesting because you'd have 3 ranked wins over quality teams at the time. Again, it remains to be seen what Boise and Florida become. But I don't necessarily know if South Florida is going to do it. I'm going to be totally honest here. Mario Cristobal is going to do absolutely nothing to help the Canes win. Carson Beck's going to basically win this game like he did in the Notre Dame game as well. And maybe Beck will be validated, leaving Georgia, kind of following the Cam Ward pathway of being ACC Player of the Year and everything like that. I just think that Miami's recruited a little bit too much for what South Florida can handle. And again, Alex Galesh is a fantastic coach. He stems from Josh Heupel's coaching tree. Would not be surprised if he's got a power four job next year. If Cincinnati opens up, he may take that. If Matt Campbell leaves Iowa State, he's coached Iowa State before. This is a guy that's certainly on the upward trajectory there too. So really high on Golesh's future and the Bulls, but like Miami's a little bit more talented here. But then again, Miami can lose to anybody,
Sure.
particularly with Cristobal in charge. I'm very excited about that game. I will go with the Canes here.
And don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over Fresh Roaster Coffee, BYP20. Before I let you get out of here, as we hit the top of the hour, 6 o'clock Eastern time, I'm sure you got a lot of college football stuff going on. And Atlanta Falcons, we didn't even touch on the Falcons, missing a field goal from a kicker that doesn't miss. But what do you got cooking this weekend on the blogs?
Oh, man. Like,
And the pods.
Penix looked good. Penix
He did. He played well.
He did. Zach Robinson clearly doesn't want to go coach back in Stillwater. Like, he doesn't want to go replace Gundy. He did a terrible job as a play caller. Like, when you have a 1st and goal, why are you doing like a Vince Lombardi power sweep to left with Bijan Robinson? Just go power, give it to Algier, run up the middle. I mean, you needed to win this game versus Tampa when they were depleted. And granted, you're not going to sweep them again, but now you have to win.
It's a tone setter.
Yeah, and I'm so tired of the Falcons being so poorly coached, and they have talent there. I do think the defense is playing better, and again, like Baker Mayfield's a stud. He made some tremendous plays to Igbuka and everything like that. But again, like very frustrated with that game, and I've talked a lot of smack about JJ McCarthy. So
you actually came on the show and you were not high on him, and then the kid
No.
accounts for 21 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, maybe he got all the plays there. Maybe he knew what was coming, but I played like crap for the first 3. But
Yeah.
I will say though, I'll take like the Vikings to win, but Atlanta to cover, so it's like an emo hedge.
All right, brother. Well, look, man, everyone's got to follow your work with all the podcasts and, of course, on Fansided. Give John a follow at Bueller118. All right, you're going to have a stressful weekend, man. You got Georgia, you got Atlanta. We're not even going to get into Braves and baseball. Maybe we'll touch on a little baseball next Friday, but you got to, de-stress, right?
Yeah, I saw Brian Snitker wants to come back. I'm like, I want pretty much anything but that to happen.
All right, brother. Well, listen, first and foremost, I always appreciate it, and I appreciate you being a little flexible today with the time on the segment. But great stuff. As always, appreciate you always coming on.
I appreciate it. I'm always going to be on the show, even a little bit later than normal, but it's all good.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, you take care.
All right, there you have it. My guy, John Mueller, does great stuff. You guys love that segment. NFL stuff, college stuff. I can't even get on him with the baseball. I can't do it. I mean, and by the way, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Aaron Judge waking up a little bit. Now, granted, Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. Yes, I'm jumping back on. The Yankees are 3 back at Toronto. They got a big series against the Red Sox. Yes, I know I said the Yankees were cooked about 3 weeks ago, but I'm uncooking them. The only team I will tell you that's cooked that I follow are the Giants. They're done. 34-10. And I know Brandon didn't like that. I know he gets rubbed the wrong way when I say that, but 34-10. They're not winning this game. As far as the fight on Saturday, guys, I got to be honest. I'm looking at this, and I know that, Bud is a couple years older. But, man, Crawford moves up 154, 168. He's challenging Canelo. He wants to smoke. I just think he's so technically sound. They're both, future Hall of Famers. I know Canelo is younger than Crawford. Crawford's 38. Canelo is 35. I look at the wear and tear, and I know that Brandon said about being the flat-footed. If I'm Canelo and I can't get off and I can't get my combinations going, and if I'm stagnant and I'm just going in and out, in pocket, out, not really mixing up, throwing punches and bunches, as we say, then I think Bud is going to grab those early rounds. And now all of a sudden, that forces Canelo to come even more forward, to take some more shots, some more chances. Look, you're talking about a fighter that has 67 pro fights under his belt, that has ridiculous knockout power, 39. We know this, the old adage in boxing, your knockout power is the last to go. But then you got a guy in Crawford who's 41-0. He's got 31 knockouts. He absolutely dissected Spence. He destroyed Earl Spence. By the way, 6 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. This is on cue. He dissected him, just broke him down. I'm not going to say he's going to do that against Canelo, but I think at this stage, I think Bud's hand speed and his footwork is going to be too much, and I think he's going to frustrate Canelo, and he's going to have some opportunities to land some hard, crisp shots, right? And again, man, who has Canelo stopped with that power, right? You got to go back 4 years ago when it was against Plant, right? And he was younger then. He's old. And I don't know, man. The wear and tear bothers me. I think Canelo Alvarez is I'm a huge Canelo fan. Huge Canelo fan. He's what the sport of boxing needs, right? Bud is all business, meticulous, get in, get out, no games. I'm not messing around. And I still go back to the throwing the punches one at a time instead of a combination. That to me is a sign of a fighter that's slipping. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. You cannot, under any circumstances, beat Father Time. You can't. Scott says, let's go, man. Bud Crawford time. I'm with you. Bud is still undefeated. He's a great fighter. And Canelo is a great fighter. But some of these fights, and I know, a couple of guys raise your eyebrows. I wish some of them are made sooner rather than later. And I get it. Guys got to move up in class, got to move up in division. It takes a little time. You got to get the purses to split everything. But if I come on the air Monday and Canelo wins this fight, Canelo would have jumped on him early, because the longer this fight goes, and I'm not talking about, we're not talking about round 3, round 4. I'm talking about the 5th, the 6th, the 7th round, right? Now you start to get into the meat and potatoes, the heart of the fight, the 8th round, the 9th round. What do we call them? We call them championship rounds for a reason. 11th, the 12th round. I think the longer this fight goes on, the more opportunity Terence Crawford has an opportunity to break Canelo down. You get to the heart of the fight, the latter stages, and you go back to that Spence fight, and Crawford can switch orthodox southpaw. We know that Alvarez has seen all that throughout his career. I would caution you, if you're looking at Canelo, and I haven't even checked the updated. See, a lot of times in fights like this, you got to be careful with the odds. Canelo is the betting favorite, so it's right around minus 180. So Crawford's the underdog at plus 145. So typically, when you look at fights like this, especially when you talk about championship fights, you kind of always want to go with the underdog, because you're going to get some plus money. You're going to get some good money. Now, if you think Crawford's going to stop him, then my only caveat to that is, okay, if you think it's going to be a Crawford TKO, it's not going to be a DQ, but a KO, you grab that 7th, 8th round, you're probably looking at plus 700, plus 800. If you think Canelo is going to win by knockout, it's going to be substantially lower, because we're talking about the power, even though I think it's kind of worn off a little bit, probably like 370. So those are kind of like your outcome-based odds. And look, is experience going to be the factor, right? Alvarez, the extensive experience at this weight. Crawford, significant challenge in a heavier division he's never really competed in before. I just think he's a hell of a fighter. I really do. Honestly, Q, the best part about the fight is having Max Kellerman back and having a legit big fight to call. Reminds me of what boxing used to be. Yeah, and I know my guy, Raul Marquez, El Diamante, is going to be calling the fight in Spanish, so I'm happy for him. They got a great cast and a great crew for that. And yeah, hearing Max behind, I don't know, people don't like Max. Like, Max Kellerman knows boxing. Like, he knows boxing. I mean, Max Kellerman forgets more boxing than we'll ever know. He started in the basement of his house doing Max on Boxing. And, the old school journalist and some of the beat guys didn't like him because he was too smart for the room. But I'll tell you what, I've always enjoyed his commentary. Solitary Stephen A. screwed him, but I've always enjoyed Max's commentary, because he knows the sport. He knows the sport. And it's funny because, did you see that Alvarez, coincidentally enough, basically called out Kellerman, and then he praised Dana White. Now, think about that. Claiming boxing not as popular at the presser. The funny thing is, now I'm not going to go on this long winded diatribe, but I will make this point on a Friday. For years, Dana White basically crapped on the sport of boxing. And now, because the money's there, he gets in bed with the sport of boxing. Go figure. But Canelo's outspoken, and I like it. I don't have a problem with it. But you got a massive fight, you got a massive buildup, and here we go. Right? And you got the muscle, as they say, right? Like in The Godfather, the muscle, the Barzinis, the Hyman Roths of the world, right? The Frank Pantans. You got the muscle behind a fight like this, and that's what you need. That's what you need. I'm not going to start talking about the state of the sport, because for the listening audience, the guys that routinely chime in, you guys like me are boxing fans. We enjoy the sport. So I'm not going to get into this minutia of the popularity, what's more. I don't care. That's all smoke and mirrors. If you watch the sport, you watch the sport. If you enjoy the fights, you enjoy the fights. If you like MMA, if you like mixed martial arts, if you tap into the UFC, fine. Fine. It's not who's better, who's more popular. Say that's barroom talk. I don't care. But now, again, you've got an opportunity where to bring back some of those fans you might have lost in a fight like this. Just be an entertaining fight. And I'll say this too. I don't want to come on the air Monday on a Man Up, Mentiroso, Lunes, Manolo, Monday edition of On Cue. You know where I'm going with this. I don't want to come on the air Monday and say, see, this is why my sport gets a bad rap. Meaning, I don't want any type of controversial decision, screwed up scoring. Just let's have a clean fight. Let's have it judged cleanly. Best man win, mano a mano, and here we go. Right? And here we go. All right, I know I bled past 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, a little short edition of On Cue. And oh, by the way, we might have some interesting news next week and going forward on where you also might find On Cue and a couple other shows that we've got in the can, as we like to say. New edition of Back Your Play has dropped. You can also check that out on TV 48 WWON. They're going to air that every Sunday. And from what I'm told, it looks like they're going to air it every Saturday and Sunday in 2 weeks. So you got a little double dip, and then you'll lead in to 12 o'clock, the national pregame, CBS, NBC, Mothership, Fox, wherever you kind of hang your hat and get you set for the betting stuff. Great stuff from two-time Super Bowl champ Brandon Jacobs. Appreciate B jumping on board for a couple moments. Of course, Lloyd Vance, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football on 102.9 FM The Game, and John Bueller from Fansided. And as always, you goofballs out there chiming in consistently for close to an hour and a half. You guys are fantastic. I always appreciate when you guys comment. I always appreciate when you guys tune in and listen. I will say for the Giants, try to keep this game relatively close going into the half. I know the weather is going to be 75. I got some basketball to call on Sunday, but I'll tell you this, I'm going to try to sneak off for a little bit and see if they're biting on Sunday. Now, that's a 1 o'clock kickoff. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So don't get on me too much. And I do like the Eagles over Kansas City. We'll recap all the action. We'll get into the Monday night affairs, the double dip on Monday. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Lloyd and I are going to do a little fast pace, 15 to 20 on cue. We kind of want to go around the league with some of these coaching, I guess you can say, on the hot seat, and some of these injuries that are pretty pronounced, i.e. Brock Purdy going down for the 49ers, Eckler going down for Washington, and of course the Packers losing their wide receiver as well. So that's going to do it on a Friday. You guys have a wonderful Sports Friday. Always appreciate you guys keeping us tuned in and locked in to a What the Frig Football Friday edition of On Cue. And as I mentioned, special thanks Brandon Jacobs. Special thanks John Bueller. And of course, my guy, Lloyd Vance, for jumping on board for a couple moments. We will talk to you mañana. You guys have a wonderful Sports Friday. Be safe, be sound. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. You've been tuned into On Cue. We'll talk to you tomorrow.